Let's talk about more madness. I mean, seriously, we're just going mad topic to matter. There is a lot more madness. A new investigation in the papers yesterday about universities decolonising their policies. We've seen with literature, with history, decolonising, basically say all white people bad, everything done to black people victims. That's a fair summary of that attitude. Everything in the past was terrible because it was conducted by white men in the West. But universities are also decolonising their business courses, their chemistry courses, and even their thermodynamics courses to mollify woke activists. How on earth are they doing that? Let's talk to Arif Ahmed, who's an academic at the University of Cambridge and a free speech campaigner. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Oh, thank you very much for joining us. Please be a voice of sanity on this, Arif. We're looking at, decolonising. I don't really understand the decolonising, whether it's art history, or horrible white men painting pictures or decolonising orchestras because all the big classics are about, again, white European men or history involving empire. How do you decolonise chemistry or thermodynamics?
Well, I think there's two things. One thing is I have to emphasise, of course, people are free to study whatever they want, and academics ought to be able to put things on the syllabus that they think are interesting and are worth studying. But I agree with you that it's hard to see how some subjects, if you're really pursuing truth and knowledge, how they can't be corrupted if you try to politicise them, so you make them about things that they're not really about. So chemistry, thermodynamics, whatever it is about the search for truth, objective truth in those areas. It's not about making political points, and I think it's unfortunate when they get hijacked in that way.
Well, and then you get some arguments back. Well, that's a white man's truth, and the investigations into any particular field, whether it's history or literature or chemistry, has been coming from that perspective. But again, it seems to me, we look at maths. 2 + 2 = 4. I like to think in most worlds. Whether you're black, white, gay, straight, male or female, that is the whole point of science. Is those are facts. They're immutable facts that hold true at all times in all places.
Yes, well, as an academic, I can reassure you that 2 + 2 does indeed equal 4.
God, we've got that verified.
What you call white man's truths are actually just truths. There aren't white man's truths and non-white man's truths or whatever. There are just truths and there are falsehoods. And as you say, it's an objective matter, which is which. And it's for science to find out. It's not a political question. It's a scientific, empirical question. I think anyone who doesn't grasp that doesn't really understand what science is and what
I'm not sure they should be at university. Whenever I hear about people who are troubled by, a violent scene in Shakespeare or something that happened in history, talking about the slave trade, I think young people who can't cope with being taught that, I'm not sure are fit for academic learning at all. I'm not entirely sure they're fit for being adults.
Well, I think I'm probably much more optimistic about young people than some of my colleagues. I think many of them, if they're exposed to some of this, probably will develop resilience and they'll be able to handle it. And actually, I think the way to address this question is to say when you start your course, you sign a form saying, I accept that I will be exposed to material that's shocking or offensive in the course of my education. And then you can withdraw from the course at any point if you don't like it. But if you do continue to the course, then you are implicitly consenting to that material. And I think exposure to material that's shocking and offensive is an essential part of an education.
But hold on a second. I don't think you should have the option of withdrawing at all. You can draw from university if you're not up to it, and then go and be unemployable because you can't cope with life. But I don't remember anyone ever warning me about, there might be some unpleasant scenes in Othello when I was doing A-level. It didn't occur to anybody this would be traumatic.
No, that's right. No, what I meant was you can withdraw from the university altogether if you don't. So staying at the university means you're consenting to this material.
Yeah.
And there shouldn't be particular specific warnings with each bit of the course that you do. There should be a single blanket consent that you do at the start.
Do you despair? Is this coming from the academics or is this coming from the students? And how do we stop it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think, actually, I don't despair. I think most students just want to come and, they pay their fees, they want to get on with their course, they want to learn something useful and go on and get a job in the real world. Most academics, are actually, they're honest people, they want to do their research, they have intellectual interests, some of them are very different from mine, and some of them do have political interests and aims, and that's fine, they ought to. What's wrong, I think, is when some academics, a small number of academics and a small number of students try and shut down other people from expressing perfectly legal, interesting points of view, some of which might even be true.
Absolutely. Arif Ahmed, more people like you in academic at the University of Cambridge, free speech campaigner.